Welcome to the second factory focus here. So again, we're doing a series of videos highlighting what we have going on here at Factory, general hockey discussion. And today we have Riley Armstrong, Director of Player Development for Philadelphia Flyers, who is in our building, right? Daily, pretty much, and involved in Factory. And first and foremost, owner of Armstrong Hockey Skills. So let's talk a little bit about that, get that out of the way up front. Talk to us about Armstrong Hockey Skills and really the basis of what you're trying to do there. We're hosting that here at Steel. So
I think when I quit playing the game, I didn't retire. I quit, the body quit. And I thought I wanted to get into coaching. I knew that. And when I moved up to New Hampshire, started just doing a couple of skates with some UNH kids. And then all of a sudden it kind of expanded into younger kids. And I was barking up a tree that I've never done before, dealing with more of an older crowd. And then since coming here with Ezra being U8 Phantoms and Steel team, decided to work more with that group and try and start to develop those guys. And it's mostly just skating, puck stuff that you would do with and without a puck, and then also game-like stuff, working on the cutbacks, changing lanes, weight shifts, all that kind of stuff that we would be doing at the pro level too.
So let's talk skating is the big word out of all that, right? Let's talk about skating and let's talk about your ladder development, because that's it's not unique per se, but it is kind of unique, right? You were a dual sport athlete. You did a lot of skating growing up, but how fundamental it's obviously fundamental to the game, but how fundamental was the role that skating played in your development on your path to the NHL?
I grew up in a skating family. My mom is a figure skating coach. She actually just told me the other day, 2 more years, and it's been 50 years she's been teaching figure skating and young players how to skate for hockey as well. She's still doing it. We tell her to quit and retire and hang them up, but she still plugs away at home up in Saskatoon. And growing up, played hockey. Grade 2, I switched to figure skating. I figure skated till about grade 10. Even though we played soccer, baseball, all that kind of stuff, we were always just skating. And, I think just from my edge work in figure skating, understanding the balances, where you need to be within your body, really helped me going into the pro game and balance and holding some bigger guys off, as I'm not that big. But I think for the most part, it was just being at the rink. Still at the rink. And it's pretty much my life. And, I don't know if people understand what type of family hockey is. And when you're at the rink, when you're skating, when you're on the ice, it's a pretty cool thing to grow up in.
Yeah, 100%. And so, 2 things. That path of development didn't just work for you, right? There is a family connection that had generated two professional hockey players that focus on skating. And then the second thing is we talk a lot about rink rat culture. And just, the ones that make it are the rink rats, right? The ones that really tend to make it. It's not necessarily that they were the best player at 9 or 10 years of age. It's just the fact that they spent a ton of time in the rink. I saw an interview with Gretzky that came out in the last month where he talked about the fact that he didn't even feel like he practiced. Because he just loved it. He was always doing it. He's always had a stick in his hand. He was always at the rink. He was always doing something. Right. And so I think that, that highlights what you're talking about, that rink rat mentality of I'm at the rink and I love being there.
Right? It's just a place where you work, right? It's
where
you hung out, right? Your family was there, your brother was there. It's just kind of where you spent your time. It's no different.
I think the coolest part, we talk about having a team, and I played on a team. I was Pee-wee. I forget the age that I was, but the culture within the locker room at that time, I was like the young kid on the team. I actually quit playing hockey, took the year off, and I just strictly figure skated and started to get actually pretty good at it. And I lost in a competition. I remember I was all rattled, upset, driving home. I told my mom, I'm going to quit figure skating, go back to hockey. So I went back to hockey, and then four years later, I signed a contract with the Sharks, and it happened that quick. But I think it was strictly just like that skating aspect of it. I didn't have a stick in my hand, nothing. And I I felt that like it just kind of took off from there. But I think it was like a snap of the fingers. Before you know it, I was like, you know, kind of wide-eyed going into that moment too. But you know, I think a lot of people think that it's the stick in the hand and puck handling, but also don't even have a puck, don't even have a stick. It's just skating, just working on that skating part of the game. And you see some of the kids as you grow up, and everybody says it, even at the NHL level, it's like, oh, he's so good. Well, Jack Hughes is a really good skater. Quinn Hughes, really good skater. You know, Matt Barzell, really good skater. I think all the hands and all that kind of stuff just come with how good of a skater you are.
So going back to that point, we have a lot of smaller players, right? And one of their biggest questions is, you know, how do I get better as a player? But I give up a lot on the size, you know, in size. And so to your point, you know, being a better skater and being better on your edges, it's much harder to get knocked off the puck, right? So
correct.
You know, as good as you were, because you were such a good skater and working on your figure skating, that made you harder to knock off the puck, right?
Yeah.
That's the most important part for the smaller guys, right? Being good on their edges.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome.
That's what we should be focusing on with the smaller guys. I mean, with everybody,
right.
but the smaller guys. Edge work.
Yeah.
Well, then the winning races, right? So we have winning races. I mean, we just talked about it coming in here, right? And you know, I mean, it's fundamental to the game, right? Is you have to win your one-on-one races, and then, you know, if you're a good skater and you're getting to the puck first, the game gets a lot easier when you're at the puck first, right?
Yep.
For sure. What's the one thing that you think, now being coaching at the pro level, what's the one thing? I mean, is it skating that you're still fixing even at the pro level, or is it, you know, in terms of the player skill aspect? I know a hockey IQ is a big one, right?
Yeah.
But in terms of skills, what's the one thing you think you're fixing most at the pro level?
I really do think it's skating. You see some guys that come up, and now everybody has a skills coach, but they don't have a skating coach. They don't think they need to work at that part. And whenever I go out with the Flyers and stuff like that, or I'm out with the Phantoms guys, we always start off with our edge work. And we go forwards, backwards, with a puck, without a puck, just different types of things like that. And over the course of time, the more you just reps at it and reps at it, before you know it, the skating just starts to develop and it starts to come along. The player feels more confident on their edges and their skates, and then all of a sudden that translates into their corner play, you know, attacking guys one-on-one, cutting into the middle, cutting back out. So, you know, I think it's just like, that's probably the one thing. And then along with that is playing with a check on you. A lot of kids want to go out and they skate away from everybody. We want to skate to the check. And I think that kind of opens up, it brings guys to you, and then you're able to kick pucks out, you know, to players that don't. And then we always want to attack to the middle. A lot of guys always want to get to the outside and be that perimeter player where they have more time and space. The players that I think that take that next step in the game, and you watch on TV, they're always playing inside the dots.
It's the good ice.
That's the good. Right? That is the good ice. That's where you want to be.
That's where you want to be. Right?
It's hard. It's hard to get there, and it's hard to play in there. You get whacks and hacks on your arms and legs and stuff, but that's where you score your goals, and that's where you create plays.
I mean, the best players in the world, you know, their best moments aren't on the wall.
Yeah,
right? They're not. You know, it's when they get into that good ice, they force defensemen to make decisions and make plays, and you know, those you see it. You see the outcomes on it.
Down to the bigger games too. You see it in the paint, the blue paint. Special teams, not the perimeter players go away in the big games.
Yes, exactly.
So now, having been here at Steel for a couple years, couple seasons now, right? This is season 3, so this is your 3rd year here. We're obviously making some big changes. Factory is a reboot, so to speak, but really a rebirth here of hockey, where we're taking this focus where we're bringing in, you know, high-end coaches. We're bringing in, you know, programs like Armstrong Hockey Skills and other camps. We're looking to give the resources so that we can provide that rink rat culture, that kids can be here as much as they want to be here and focus on getting better. How do you envision hockey at Steel, both now and kind of in the 3-5 years out?
Well, the one thing I like about the factory that you guys have brought in is we get the practice time. You know, I think you can join the tournament teams and all this kind of stuff around the area. There's a ton of them. But the one thing that when you just show up to play games, you do not get better in games. You get better in practice. So with Factory, that we allow 12 practices once a week, And while we're practicing that, Armstrong Hockey Skills is going on. There's other camps going on. So now we're just at the rink. We're on the ice. And when you're on the ice and just skating and working on that stuff, then you can go play games and you can say, okay, we need to work on this. And then we go back to practice. And, I think that's the biggest takeaway is allowing the kids to get on the ice and develop those skills and skating and team concepts in those once a week skates.
Yeah, and building it out with things around it. Because we've said, there's a lot of kids right now where the model now has become that I play 40 to 60 games during the year. And then I go play another 40 to 60 games in the off season. And really the off season is where they get to maybe get away from the gameplay, get into the training habits, and you can make these massive gains, right?
Yeah.
From April to August, right? When the regular season starts and you're in that off season, that's a tremendous amount of time that you can focus on just getting better and getting back into the regular season vastly improved. And so, games are okay, right? But really what gets the work done is putting in those extra hours. And they tend to be more dedicated skill hours, right?
Yes.
In season where you're with your team, you're focused on system plays, or you're focused on concepts, and you're most certainly working on skills. But the true where I can get in and work on skating for a straight hour, you're going to find a lot of that in the off season.
Yeah, I think for families and kids and parents watching the pod right now is next time your son or daughter plays a game, take a little notepad and write how many times they touch a puck in a game. And then take a notepad and practice and write down how many times they touch a puck in practice. It's going to be through the roof the amount of times that they hold on to the puck, touch a puck, and make a play in practice compared to a game. And that's where the development really takes off. And that's probably, you talk to people around here right now, that's probably the one thing that I've heard the most is I love the practice times compared to even those tournaments that we're going to go play in. Oh, I can't wait to get on the ice and get those practice times in. So I think that's the best part about kind of what Factory's bringing into this rink is allowing that time slot.
Awesome. Another item that I wanted to hit on that's relevant this week, talk about, a lot of parents worry about getting found, right? The kid getting found and everything else. And we kind of had some happen circumstance even this week where, right time, right place for the right kid. I've heard some high-end coaches talk about the fact if you're good enough, it doesn't matter where you're playing, they're going to find you, right? And so, talk about that even from the highest levels, that if you're working hard and you're doing the right things and you're good enough, it doesn't necessarily, you don't need to play top 10 team AAA to be found, right? Everybody's ladder is different. You had as we talked about, a pretty unique ladder that you went through, right? Where you didn't even necessarily play every season. You were doing other things. Talk about that kind of concept of if you're good enough, you will get found.
I think, you're in this Philadelphia hub, then you have another hub in Boston and Michigan, and St. Louis is developing into a little bit of a hub. I grew up in a city of 200,000 people. I think if you went and Googled Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, the hockey players that come out of there to the NHL per capita is almost the most in Canada. And it's not that we went and we're playing in these huge hockey tournaments or we're AAA team. I never played AAA hockey in my life. And as you're playing and you're playing the game, it's good to just play within your area. In Saskatoon, we were divided up just into zones in our city. And you had the Red Wings, the Flyers, the Barons, the Knights. And whatever area you lived in, you played. So that's it. You couldn't be like, oh, I want to go and play for the Flyers now. You're like, no, you're playing on the Barons. Even if your team wasn't good, you didn't go and jump ship. You stuck here and you worked at your game with your group of friends that you played with. I do find now in this side of the game where we're going around, you always look at the player's past. And if they're going from, I'll just use the teams here, from the Phantoms to the Philadelphia Junior Flyers, to the Philadelphia Flyers, to the Venom. They're bouncing around like that. I really do believe the parent or the kid is just chasing it. They're chasing to play on the best team. And my biggest thing is if you're a really good player and you just want to go play on a good team, that doesn't make you even a better player. If you play on another team but you make the players around you better, then you're a good player. And you look at all the top players, they make their line mates better. They don't need another all-star on their wing to be a good player. They make the players around them better. And I really do find that when you are chasing it, you're kind of hurting yourself, to be honest.
Well, and you're kind of chasing the wrong thing.
Yes.
Right? It's really easy.
Fixing the hole in your own game.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be worried about the guys that you're playing with. Worry about your game, right? And finding the holes there in your game and correcting them, right? Like look inside. A lot of guys don't look inside; they look outside and want to blame the coach and who the coach has them with. I'm not on the power play. I'm not on the penalty kill. Why am I not doing this? Why aren't we winning games when they have a lot of stuff to work on their own, right? So
correct.
They look at the wrong things.
Yeah, I think a lot of people look at wins.
Yeah. At this age.
And I even think going up, it's you want to see an improvement within the team. Mm-hmm. Even when I coached the Maine Mariners, brand new team in the coast, and Danny Briere was the GM of that team, and we get these young guys in, and at the start of the year we're 0-6, and we just kept working, we kept developing as a player, not as a team, but as a player. And then as the players got better, the team got better. And then we started winning. And then we climbed back into the playoff race. But it just doesn't, you just don't go to a team and you're like, oh, we won. Well, how are you playing as a player? And I think that's where some people lose focus on that side of things as well, where it is about the development of the player, which leads to the bigger picture of the team. And then those little things develop into those wins.
Yep. And you see that at all levels. You see it whether it's our U8 team, right? I think you see that obviously with the Flyers right now, that there's some success based on culture and just focusing on development, right? Of a good young core. So it translates from start to finish, right? Of how you approach the game mentally and what's important to you, right? And I think, I'm a big John Wooden guy, and the guy won 12 national championships right in a row. And he was just a habit guy. We're going to focus on building our habits. We're going to focus on, not wins and losses, but playing our best and showing up and being our best in practice and being our best in games. And every time that we're together, we're going to be our best. And if we do that, the outcomes are going to be what we want. Right? They're a byproduct of that, which is, I think just translates across obviously all sports and most certainly all levels. So I think last thing here for us, full circle, right? If you were to pick one thing, one message that you would want to give parents, and I think we've hammered a variety of them, but one thing out of all this that you would give parents and young players that are looking to really climb the ladder, what would that one key message be?
Oh, I think just being active. You want to play hockey, and the game has changed since I started playing, that more kids are playing hockey in the summertime. I think it's important to keep it fun in the summer. In the winter, it's like the grind of like the parent going to work and the kid at the rink and all that. I think in the summertime, if you can get into baseball, soccer, mixed in with a little factory practice here and there and keep it light, keep it fun. I really do think that's where you're going to find your most success as a family. When you leave the rink, you're going to feel upbeat and happy about it. And I think it's also important to just kind of feel where you're at. You might be good at this age group, but when you jump here, you think, oh, I can play with, the 2014 team, or I can play with the 2010s. Just play right here with your group and let this develop right here. Like, be the best player, be the best person you can be at your age group. Don't jump up. Don't think you're better, because then all of a sudden confidence is a really big thing. You lose the confidence, and then I think you kind of lose the player, or you lose your son or daughter with that.
So the burnout or
So
to that point, what do you think is the biggest difference from level to level? Like, you've gone through the levels, right? What makes the difference from like AHL to NHL, or from even before AHL to AHL? Like, what is the difference? What do you see? What separates the player from level to level?
Number one, skating. Number two is your compete. the skill level each time you get up, it goes like this. It's so small. Everybody's skilled, but it's who competes the hardest and who's a better skater. And I think the number one thing is, which I do think the Flyers have success at, is no one outworks them. Teams just they're like, this again, and they shut down. And when you can have that, every shift we're coming, we're working. We might not be as skilled, but we're going to keep working. And I think they just shut teams down.
Yeah, and I think it translates. And again, that's one thing that just translates at any level. If you can skate well and you compete hard, the rest kind of comes together on all of that.
We have the dates of the Riley camp.
So has it sold out? Or are there any spots left?
It's sold
out this year. So that's a big one, right? That you got to know. So he runs them in the summer, but hopefully a program that we have in our building for a long time. We've been blessed that you got the job down here in Lehigh Valley, and now you're down and staying in the area, even though you're down in Philly. And it's a huge piece to the culture that we're building here is to have guys like you in the building. And the willingness and openness to bring not only your own resources, but the resources that you have around you to come in and improve the product here. And I think, full circle, it just plays into, we want people to be able to show up here on any day and get better. Every day you can show up at Steel and get better, right? And that whether it be involved in a factory direct program or be involved with, with one of our coaches that's running their own programming. And, John's got a camp. You got obviously Armstrong Hockey Skills. We got other guys that are coming through here. You can show up any day and get better. Doesn't mean you need to be here every day, but we want you to be, that, hey, I can get done playing a soccer game on Monday and I can go get better at hockey on Tuesday or, any of that. It's that mentality that I think consistently translates to, having a great hockey player, but more than that, learning about hard work, just being a good person and getting the benefits of those hard work.
No, it's been awesome since coming here. You've opened the door. It's been great. I think just being able to come here and I step away from the Phantoms and come here and get to work with these young kids. And it's frustrating at times, but at other times it's you see how big strides that kids make compared to the pro game. A guy's going to get this much better, right? At 22, 23, but you have a 8 and 9-year-old and they can get this much better in a season. And it's so cool to watch that. So thank you for letting me
no doubt,
come out and coach and all that kind of stuff. It's great. I love breaking the games down, even though they're 8.
It's good stuff, man. It's good stuff.
They made great strides. It's been fun to watch. Their development's been incredible.
It's been pretty cool, and I think it's been fun working them through the concepts. Which has been neat, and we saw some zone entries today and. some net drives and things like that. And I think, the one thing I will say, and the game has changed, right? The kids are just getting better and better and better the younger they are. It's kind of crazy to see what they can execute on. And I don't know if the kids are any smarter per se, but it does seem that the hockey IQ is translating at a younger age even more and more.
Well, I think it goes to, you see all the kids, they jump on YouTube and they're watching Jack Hughes and Crosby and McDavid and Austin Matthews. When we look at TV, because we didn't have computers, right? That's how I try and explain to my kids is there was no internet when I was your age. So we're watching Wayne Gretzky and Yager and Lemieux on the ice. And even my dad growing up, he'd always say, oh, you got to shoot it on the ice because that's how Gretzky scored. And now goalies are going down in butterflies. I'm like, you can't shoot on the ice. You got to go upstairs. You got to do this. You got to do that. But kids are seeing it now at this age, the moves that Zegras is doing. And you watch out here how many kids want to do the Michigan and how many kids want to do this. And I think that's where their brain has developed into that, a different skill set than it was back then.
But willingness to try something that we would never have tried.
Never.
Ever in a million years.
Back then you couldn't go on Instagram and pull up a video that shows you F1, F2, and F3 entering the zone. Now, you just jump on and, you can see a play develop. And they talk you through it. When we were kids, we didn't have that at all. They have access to everything now.
Well, and even the way the clips come through, and they're broken down often. The way they even break them down during, a lot of parents ask me, they're like, "What can I do to help my kid, away from the rink?" And it's watch hockey. Watch hockey because they break the game down. I mean, the understanding of the game as a whole has gotten better.
Yeah.
And it's just it's a fun spot to be in terms of the world of hockey. And we obviously just came off the World Junior, which was a great event,
Yeah.
right? And then we were talking prior to the game. The women's league is doing some pretty awesome stuff.
Yeah,
9,000 people.
Yeah, it's incredible.
The other night, I think Minnesota, they have 10,000 people. Yeah. So even that, in terms of our sport, I think is unique in the sense that whether it be boys or girls, the game has just come so far. And like watching a girls hockey game, like they can move the puck well, they can execute.
Yeah.
All the plays, it's physical. Like the new product is really physical.
I was gonna say it might be more physical than the NHL right now.
It might be. It might be.
I watched
Yeah.
college women's game last night, and it was intense. Like I couldn't believe it wasn't more quality.
And that pro game, the kickoff game there between Toronto and New York, like they got
awesome.
after it.
Yeah,
it was
they
awesome.
did. It was good.
And so whether you're boy or girl, whatever, I think that hockey's in a really unique spot right now.
Yeah.
Where the game is just in a huge growth phase, right?
Yeah.
And I think we're excited just to have that growth in our building for sure.
Yeah.
So very cool. Appreciate it, my friend.
Awesome. Thanks, boys.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.